I really want to be an example for someone, no matter how many they have. I really want to be an example. The thing is, what you have in mind is not always what God has in mind. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful about what you think, how God is going to work into your life. I didn't think about the fact that God wanted to work on the inside of me, like to go deep down to the roots of myself. Hello and welcome back to the Mentor Podcast. My name is Evelyn Kofi, and here is a safe space for women who want to heal, grow, and become a better version of themselves. This week, I wanted to share the insights, the lessons that I've learned, but also, have a discussion between girls, right? Let's say that we are in our little corner of girls, we're having our discussion, talking about whatever is happening in our life because we just want to encourage each other, okay? So today we are going to talk about a little bit of me, but also the lesson that I've learned that God taught me, in this season of my life. The first thing that I want to say is that I became an English teacher. This is great. This is amazing. And I'm so proud of myself for, having this opportunity to share my knowledge and to, you know, be a teacher. This is something that I never thought that I would be one day. Okay. So I think it has been now 1 week that I started this job and I have to tell you that I'm enjoying it. Like I'm really, really enjoying it because I never thought that I would be an English teacher, but one thing that I'm learning is that I have more abilities, I have more capacities than I think. I don't know if you have ever found yourself in a situation where you are doing something, or maybe you got an opportunity, you got a job, you got an opportunity to start a business or whatever. And now that you're finding yourself in that space, you are, telling yourself that this is actually good. Like I'm pretty good at it. This is where I'm finding myself right now. I feel like this is something that I really like, sharing knowledge and helping children to um become better. I feel like at some points I'm also helping them to become a better version of themselves because I'm teaching them to become better at English. So somehow I am also helping them to become a better version of themselves. And this is where I wanted to just reflect a little bit because sometimes we can find ourselves in a particular situation. We can get an opportunity, but we don't feel like we are making impact or we are doing something meaningful. Sometimes we feel like or we tell ourselves that doing something meaningful is equal to having a lot of followers, many followers, or doing something that is seen, right? But sometimes we are finding ourselves in situations in um, spaces where we are actually impacting people, where we are actually doing something that is meaningful, where we are actually helping other people. And honestly, this is amazing, this opportunity that I got. And I think that God also wanted to teach me what is the meaning of real impact, right? Because I have to tell you that I don't want to lie, I really want to be honest. My definition of impact, my definition of success, I think sometimes I have to remind myself that success is not what I think, that I have to just think about the impact that I have on the people around me, but it wasn't fully integrated on the inside of me, if I can say it like that. It wasn't fully integrated in my life. So for me to experience this, to go through this, to experience this situation, being an English teacher really taught me another definition of success and impact. You see, for me to find myself in this space where I could teach children and help them becoming a better version of themselves, that is impact. And honestly, I'm really proud of myself. because I had to always make sure that I'm keeping them the right lessons. And that's when I feel like, and I had to understand that impact also means that people are dependent on you. People depend on what you will say, what you will do, because everything that you say or do, it has an impact on them. It's not just about talking to them or, having a good appearance, wearing those clothes or whatever, but it's like they're dependent on you because now you are not looking to the same. You're looking to, you know, really make sure that you are speaking the right word, that you are doing the right thing so that the other people, the people who are dependent on you, have the right, impact. Like they are not going astray. Like you want to make sure that whatever that you're doing, you are doing it right because you are conscious about the fact that what you do has an impact on them. So yeah, I think that that is a season that I'm learning to navigate. It's amazing. There's a lot of pressure attached to it, because you have to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Yeah. And as I was reflecting on this, I was just asking myself this question: what does consistency look like for me in this season? Because I am conscious about the fact that right now the responsibilities have changed. There is more pressure on me about this podcast because there is a purpose, there is a vision, there is a community. So right now it's different than when I started this channel or this podcast. Now there is more pressure about doing everything right, more pressure about being consistent because people are watching you. Someone is looking for an answer that God has put in your mouth. So, the pressure is increasing. And sometimes you can go crazy just by thinking about all the pressure and all the responsibilities that you have. So I was really thinking about, all of that situation and just asking in question, what does um consistency look like for me right now? And I have to tell you that there are some days I'm really, really tired. But what helps me to be motivated and come back again, I think, is this willingness to help people. And also, I also have that thought in mind that people are watching me. I may not know who they are. I may not know where they come from, but I am sure that people are watching me. So anytime I think about that, I tell myself, I really want to be an example for someone, no matter how many they have. But I really want to be an example, but also I really want to always like make sure that I am growing. I don't want to be stuck, you know. And I feel like consistency is also about that. You want to make sure that anytime you record, you are improving yourself. I'm working on my communication skills. I'm working on, sharing my vision, but also you're speaking, talking to people. So all of those things are combined. So whenever I am recording, I'm thinking about all of those things. So I really want to encourage someone who is starting a podcast or writing a book or whatever that they're doing. Like you don't have to always be motivated, but you have to think about the people who are watching you. Always tell yourself that people are watching me. No matter how many views that you get on your videos or the project, people are watching you. So one thing that I really want you to understand and to have in mind is this, that I'm not doing this just for myself. I'm doing this for someone else. And the reason why I want to be consistent is because I really want to be an example for someone. And I want to make sure that whatever I say every week, it has an impact and influence on someone. Sometimes it becomes like a routine and you are tired of the routine. You want to do something else. You want to change. You want to, do something new. But you always have to remind yourself that I'm not doing this for myself. I am doing this for other people, for other women. I'm doing this because I want to help someone, wherever they are. I don't know where they come from, but I'm sure that they are going to find this video and they are going to find the answers to their questions. So, not always think about you, but to think about someone else helps you to, you know, be consistent and tell yourself that no matter who is watching this, I'm sure that someone is going to find the answer to this video, right? Sometimes you may be going through situations and you don't fully understand. but it's like you are going through hard situations and you find yourself really being really sad, thinking about your life, the things that are going wrong. And I think recently I was kind of going through a season like that, a- I think a moment like that. And, I remember that at the beginning of the second part of the year, I think it was at the beginning of the month of July, the first day of the month of July, when I woke up, the first word that I heard was cleansing. And I have to tell you that cleansing, I didn't know what this was about. For me, cleansing, that's a word. And I went on Google, start doing some research about the word, and it was about, removing, purifying, and all those things. I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe God is doing that work in my life right now. But the thing with me is that whenever I think about something, I already have pictured what it's going to look like. Do you understand? And I think that it was my issue for a very long time. But the thing with God is that whatever you picture in your mind is not always what it has in mind. So, we at some point I was just after hearing that word, I was going to moment where I felt like my life is going crazy. I don't even understand because when I look at the first part of the year and what I'm going through right now, this is like day and night. There is nothing similar. I was kind of looking for answers, reflecting, thinking what is going on right now. And then I remember that word cleanse it. For me, cleansing was about just God is going to remove some friends and all of that. But I didn't think about the fact that God wanted to work on the inside of me, like to go deep down to the roots of myself, of my being, and just start looking for things that have not their place there, and just change my character, change my perspective about life, about people, about relationships. I was just telling myself, oh, now I understand. Because the situation that I went through was all about changing my perspective, like really shifting my whole inner world, shifting my whole inner world and just changing the way I perceive life and people. And that was really hard. It was really, really, really hard for me. But as soon as I, told myself I have to understand this because this is the lesson that God wants me to understand, when I got up, I told myself, God, whatever that you do in my life, I'm going to just follow you. And that's where I really want to encourage someone that sometimes you may be in a season where God wants to do some work in your life and you have a full picture of what you think is going to do or how it's going to work in your life. But the thing is, what you have in mind is not always what God has in mind. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful about what you think, how God is going to work into your life. Just obey him and just submit to him, because if you don't want to submit, if you're resisting him, you are going to just find yourself in a space where you don't understand anything. And I really want to tell you that no matter what you're experiencing, whatever God wants to teach you, it is not meant to kill you, it's meant to help you to go to the next level. Right? So, yeah, we are at the end of this episode. I just wanted to share some lessons and insight. I know that this video is nothing like what I'm used to do, but I really wanted to be raw like this with you and just share my ideas and the lessons, the insight that I've learned right now in my life. And because they're so interesting, and I thought it can help someone, right? It can help someone. So yeah, we are at the end of this video. Thank you for watching or listening again. If you are new here, I'm encouraging you to, subscribe and share, leave a comment. Whatever you have learned in this video is going to help me, okay? And also have our community. We have a WhatsApp group of our community of young women who want to heal, grow, and become a better version of themselves. I'm inviting you, if you are a young woman, to join this community, because over there we talk about a lot of things. So we are at the end of this video. Thank you for listening and see you next episode. Bye.